So, Louis Dangle here from WrestleTalk.com, and I'm joined by Will Ospreay. Will, how are you, sir?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Just chilling.
How's lockdown treating you? How's being inside?
Honestly, I don't mind. I'd like to wrestle. I really would, but I'm not against having some time off or like just healing up some niggling injuries. So, I want to be back in Japan. I want to be go back and kill it in front of that audience again, and especially just because the heavyweight rise is kind of there now. Like I feel the momentum was behind me. I had so many things to look forward to, and this was just came out of nowhere. So, but it is what it is. You can't change a pandemic, unfortunately. But I'm looking forward to when it's all over. I can go and get my Nando's again.
Well, I mean, I asked. We'll get to the questions I asked. I asked on Twitter for people to ask you questions, and one of the first questions I got was, "How's Will coping without getting a Nando's?"
I'm not. I'm not. I'm heartbroken. Dying on the inside. But no, to be honest, I'm fine. I just cook food here. Like you get the Nando's sauce in Sainsbury's, for God's sake. Pop over Sally's. Nando's sauce. I'm sorted, mate.
And obviously, I think with this whole pandemic going on, it's wrong to not mention the No Fan Show that you sort of spearheaded and really helped get into motion. Where did that? How did you come up with the idea? How was it putting people on the card, and how was it sort of? I think you came to us with the idea on the Thursday, and by the Monday you were all wrestling. How was that turnaround?
Well, dude, oh god, hang on. So, yeah, it was Thursday. I was on the plane coming back from Japan, and it was just popping up on my Twitter feed constantly, like show cancel, show cancel, show cancel. Like, OTT was the one I was like, oh no, I was gutted because I did message Joe and I said, hey, I'm in the country. Do you want me to fly over to Ireland? And I was going to go to OCT, pop my head in. So that'll be very disappointing to loads of fans now when they hear about that. But yeah, I was meant to be a little surprised. Like it wasn't planned. It was just like when New Japan told me that the cup got cancelled, I just saw an opportunity to go see my mum and dad. To now live out in Japan, I don't really get to see them as much. So I thought I'd go see my mum and dad, nanny and granddad. And the moment when we landed, it was like kind of all on lockdown here. But it just takes me back to like when we used to wrestle, like before it was all about money and before it was all about how many people we'd wrestle in front of. We just liked wrestling. And me and my friends would always, we had this little ring and we were like 14, 16 foot ring. And we'd set it up and we would wrestle in front of each other. And we'd have our own storylines going on, our own characters going on, just to entertain ourselves. Because like the majority of us were very young. We were like, when I first backyarded, I was like 14 maybe. So like, and that's the thing is, I think a load of people they're so used to, especially now coming into England, you're so used to wrestling in front of like minimum it's like 200 people these days. Like, you know what I mean? So I used to wrestle in front of no one, and it was just literally my mates. So I just thought, like, there's so many people like losing out on money because of the wrestling being cancelled, and like a lot of these guys are indie guys as well who don't have the like the guarantees that I do, and the guys in WWE UK or wherever or AEW or whatever. But like I just saw an opportunity, and I remember Stardom doing a online show that they did in those fans one, and honestly, it was really fun to watch. I was just like, God, I'd love to wrestle in front of no one again, and just not have like just feel like a big backyard show, and then. I don't know how to live stream. I don't know anything about this. Like, I mean, I barely cope with social media as it is. Like, you know what I mean? So it was just one of those things where, like, I've got a really good relationship with Alex, and me and Ollie have we've spoken like every now and again, but we're real good with one another. And I just messaged him like, "Hey, I have this idea. What do you think?" A lot of people are losing out on bookings right now, and I think it would just be a real nice thing to take people's mind off of the outside world and focus it on wrestling. We were going to do it next week as well, like the week after, but there's no chance. I think right now, the best thing we can all do is just stay indoors.
Well, I mean, it feels like that show was. It feels like it was 2-3 months ago now. I mean, it was 2 weeks ago. This whole thing's been was crazy. Was that your last match? The B?
Yeah, it was the last one. Yeah.
Well, how was that? I mean, I think, although I think I don't want to say people didn't appreciate your performance because they did, but I think it opened a lot of eyes to B. I think people go, wow, she can really go, and I think. Was that something you always wanted to do, wrestle her and sort of give her the platform to make people realize, listen, she's good, pay attention?
I it's a bit of a difficult one because if you ask me, I'm not the biggest fan of intergender wrestling just because my main gripe with it is I see girls doing moves on guys that I'd never see them do on other girls. So I think if you're gonna do an intergender match, you should stick to what you would normally do on like for example, B would never do a reverse Hurricane Rana. She would just never do one. So I just made it a clear thing to be like, I don't want any stuff like that. I want you to wrestle me as if you want to wrestle a girl, and she is the exact same. If she was going to wrestle a girl, this is what she would do. And like people would think I'm wrestling, and I'm going to take it easy on her, and unfortunately for her, like I don't take it easy on anybody, and I can cave their chest in like at least 3 times with my hands, my giant bloody can't feel anything in this hand. But like for me, I obviously watched B. I can love the girl to bits. I think she's amazing. I watched her from like the start of WCPW and how she would beat herself up so many times because she would like mess something up. And it's only been like she's been going Japan back and forth constantly now, and she made the decision she wanted to move out there. And it was only like the start of 2019 that I just saw like this motivation in her eyes, and I felt this whole thing of just like she doesn't care about what anybody says. She wants to go out there bell to bell and prove that she has something. And you should see some of these Stardom matches, like some of them, like with Utami and with Momo, Arisa, and it's like Kagetsu. Like, she goes out there. These girls deliver so much better than like most guys ever do, and like there's always been that stigma with like, oh, girls can't go as hard bell to bell with guys. And I just watch these matches, and I'm so jealous of all these Stardom girls because I'm like, I wish I was that good. Just like it's so ridiculous. And I think with me and Bees, we are always just like, when we're in the apartment in Japan or like even here in England, we just mess around with each other. We just wrestle one another, and we're always in the dojo together doing stuff. And it was just finally, we were just at a point where it was along the lines of we were trying to book this card. And I said to Bea, I was like, who do you want to wrestle with? She was like, I don't know who I'm actually allowed to wrestle. It's now like,
yeah,
like I don't want to do something I've already done. So like I suggested Millie McKenzie. But then I took it kind of back, and I was like, I've already seen it. Like, I don't want to see it. Like, again, I've seen it once, I've seen it twice. I want something new, I want something different. And she went, can I wrestle you? And I sat there for a second. I went, yeah, go on then. Like, do you know what I mean? It was just one of those things. And then I've really thought about it, and I was like, oh no, I will actually like this because then I can portray how I think intergender matches should be, and so can she interject how intergender matches should be. And then from there, we've got kind of a marquee match. We've got a contracted AEW star versus a contracted New Japan star wrestling each other in front of nobody.
well, I mean, on that note, did you guys have to go through people to sort of say in both your respective companies, listen, can we do this? Or were they like, you know what?
No, honestly, like AEW, as far as I'm aware, are cool. The only thing, like, and the thing is with New Japan as well, like, if people ever think that New Japan restrict us and do anything, like, we never get restricted on anything. Like, I remember when I was the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, I faced Pete Dunne, who's the WWE UK Champion. It's the first time, like, a WWE title and a IWGP title were in the same ring at the same time in over 32 years. It was kind of, I think the last people that done it was Muta and Hogan.
Yeah.
That's how ridiculous it was. And they're just like, yeah, go on, do it. Like, we like it, but just, you know, like, they're fine with it. Like, they don't care. It's just, you know, with AEW, I think they're fine. I think they just don't want, like, an AEW guy versus another AEW guy on the same show, because in that case, it's like, well, we can just put out our TV show, we can save it for a feud or whatever.
Yeah.
But with this, I think it was just kind of one of those things, was like I'm good with everyone at AEW, like B's good with everyone at New Japan. So it's just one of those things I was just like, yeah, go on, do it. Entertain people. And I think that's the thing. they really enjoyed it.
It was. Did you receive messages from people? I don't know within where you are with New Japan or within AEW that were like, "Listen, we tuned in. Great show." I mean, I think Dave Meltzer was pretty fond of the show in the Observer.
Did you watch it?
I mean, I don't know if you know. I mean, you might get a bit annoyed, but his main praise was for Callum.
No, I knew about that because I listened to your interview, and this is the sole reason why I did it, because I listened to that interview. I went, oh, that's not bad. I don't do interviews. I never really do them, just because I always find some way of shooting myself in the foot and saying something that I don't actually mean. And some people will just type something up and it's like clickbait, and I hate doing interviews. I really do. But like, I saw the one you did with Callum, and it was just very complimentary of me. I thank you very much for that. But like, no, like Callum's my boy. Do you know what I mean? He's my little boy. Like, I'm really tough on him. But like, I'm tough on him because I want him to be good. And it's the way I got brought in on it. But like,
that's exactly what he said.
To be honest, I didn't know Dave actually watched. I just thought he watched David and Callum. I didn't know he watched the entire thing. But I know Excalibur watched it from AEW. He dropped us a message saying that he really enjoyed it. So it's just, I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people from the wrestling world did watch it. Like, I know all the UK guys will watch it as well, the WWE UK boys. And like, I know they can't really tweet, like, for example, me, because that's like advertising a New Japan star or an AEW star, but they can tweet about Carl Fletcher and Connor Mills, for example, and like, so they should, because those two are phenomenal wrestlers. But it's just like one of those things, like, I'm happy that they watched it, I'm happy that everyone enjoyed it, and I don't really care. It's just like, I don't care what you're doing. If you guys are all happy and we're all making money, like, that's all great. But these indie guys aren't making money because all their shows got cancelled. Help them out.
Well, I think on the note, the indie guys are not making money. I was speaking to OGMO last week, and he said his perception of, not perception of the guys that take the WWE offers, but it changes opinion of, obviously they've got the guaranteed money. They might be perhaps, I think the example that comes to mind is Gallows and Anderson. When they re-signed with WWE, everyone was like, what are you doing? Like, you can go to New Japan, go to AEW and be creatively, go to any indie show you want. But I think when this situation comes, and they're obviously making the guaranteed income that they are now in a situation like this, it's changed people's perception on the guys that perhaps do take those WWE offers. Is it the same with you?
I honestly, I don't really care, just because like my main concept of it. If you ask my opinion on it, then like I have opinion on the products, but like it's not for me to.
Yeah.
It's not for me to say. Like, do I like the products? Like, it's okay. Like, but out of anything, it's just I'm more just happy that all my friends are getting work. Like, I love Jordan Devlin, I love Tyler Bate, I love Walter. Like, I love those guys. I'm extremely happy that they're making a regular guarantee of work. But just, yeah, it's just my opinion. It's just at the end of it, I just like, I'm more about just, I want people to want to be more. That's it. Just like, I can see, and it's going to be like Callum, for example. I can see him being a junior heavyweight sensation. And like, I don't think anyone can argue with me about it, because I think people look at him and they see a raw, natural ability that they once upon a time saw in me when I was his age. And it's just like, I can only imagine what my career would have turned out to be if I just took the first offer that WWE gave me. And it's just like, if I stretch out my knowledge and broaden my horizons to become a more well-rounded superstar, it's just, I believe that certain people on the independents, and a lot of them were on that show, No Fans Monday, I believe a lot of them can be major stars, and I do believe some of the guys in the WWE UK could be major stars. And it's just one of those things. I believe more in grafting, and I love to graft more than anything in the world. I love to be told that I can do whatever I want to do. I don't have to do like the weird pinfalls where it's just like, if that's the main camera, I don't have to, and the guys here, I don't have to cover them, like, you know what I mean? It's just those awkward things that maybe just go, stop it. Yeah. Like, but it's just those things, just like, I'm happy for all of them, I really am, but it's not for me. Like, it's not that. I think a lot more of the independent guys, I just want them to be more than that. I don't want them to just be like, oh, cool, WWE's offering me something, I might as well go. it's like, yeah, all right, this is a time where it's like, oh, you know what, I would love to have that guaranteed money because there's no work coming in. Like, I'm struggling to make my bills, and like, if that's the case, then yeah, I 100% agree. You know what, sign. Like, you need to pay your living, you have a family, whatever. But if you're like living with your mum, like, you know what I mean? It's like, and like, you've got like a cushy job, you're making money on the side, because that's the thing. Like, when I was the Progress World Champion, like, I was then going to Monday to Fridays, like, electrician, like, putting people, I blew up someone's kitchen, like, the Tuesday after I won the Progress title. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's just like, I believe in grafting and I believe in that hard work, but like, if the money's there, I go and take it. Like, if that's what you want, do it. But I want people to be more.
Well, you mentioned obviously being a Progress champion on Sunday and going to do your regular job on the week. Did you ever get recognised when you were arrested?
Not while I was doing like anything with Progress. New Japan now, it's all the time. Like, even when just before everything got locked down, and I was like, oh, you're not allowed to go to the gym, you're not allowed to do this. Like, me and B would walk around Lakeside, go get like some food, and then we'd have people all the time just go like, I'm really sorry, you will? And I was like, yeah. And they go to high five me, and I'm just still such a germaphobe right now, so I'm doing the old elbow with him. Like, I'm so like freaked out about all this thing right now, so I'm just kind of like sitting on my hands. It's like, I don't want to go near anyone.
I was obviously at the No Fans show, and it was the whole elbow thing was the weirdest thing for me. It was obviously I've been taught shake everyone's hand, and it was like no elbows.
Us as well, like the New Japan handshake is always, it's just that, but it's just like we don't even do that anymore. To be honest, I haven't seen any of them like in ages.
Yeah.
February, like late February is the last time I saw anyone. Like,
and I mean, I don't want to be a pessimist, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon. I mean, in Japan, it's looking.
I reckon Japan we might have a turnaround in Japan sooner because Japan acted on it quicker. But I think it's the case now is whether I can get back.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like, that's the main thing.
Is that the thing? When you can, are you straight back out there?
Yeah. When I can, I'll go straight back out there. But like, I think the main thing that because I think I can go back now. We're just waiting on a few like green lights because we're residents.
Yeah.
So we can go back whenever we want. But it's like we got to sit indoors for 14 days, which we're fine with. We've done, I don't know, like I think we've done 2 weeks now sitting in this house, and like I love my ass, like, but I do miss wrestling. I miss being in a gym. I've had to turn my garage into a home gym. Like, thank God I didn't sell any of my weights.
Well, I mean, I heard something. Well, I saw something on Twitter yesterday. Apparently, you are classified now as obese.
Yeah, I am. I mean, look at this. Hang on. Let's see if we can. I know I've got my PJs on, but look at that.
I mean,
there we go. Look at that.
Yeah, there we go. So how has it been transitioning from a junior heavyweight into a heavyweight?
It's been hard on the body.
What about mentally and getting in the ring with different guys? Same.
Dude, I've always been the same. Like, the guy opposite me, I'm like laser focused on. Just like I don't feel out of my place anymore. At first, I did. I felt like I am not meant to be here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like first time I ever came to Japan, and I look around, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to perform in front of 10,000 people. And at the time, it's the most people I've ever performed in front of. And then it's like, you're in a singles match, you're with Kushida, you're going for the junior title, and it's all this like stress upon stress. And then when I landed back in England on the Wednesday, I got my stuff ready Thursday. Friday, I was going back to work. Like, do you know what I mean? And what I mean, like electrician work.
Yeah.
Now, like, I get those butterflies sometimes. Like, Mysterio was one of them. Ibushi was one of them. Like, Hiromu, when he come back, was one of them. But like, Puck was another one. But there's, I'm not like phased at like standing opposite someone. Tanahashi was another one as well. I'm not phased with standing off with someone there because now I feel like I've earned my place a little bit. But like, in terms of like transitioning from a junior to a heavyweight, and a lot of people will probably look and be like, the style hasn't changed that much, but the weight and the mass has changed so much. Like, I can barely do the twists now. Like, so the Robertson special, which is the double rotation, is ridiculously hard on my hips. I've got too much tightness in my hips and stuff like that. So like I only bust that out on a rare occasion. I can't do the corkscrew shooting star press off the top rope anymore. It's just I'm too heavy. I'm 100 kilos now. It's like it's the most ridiculous thing. Like I never would imagine. Like when I first started wrestling, I thought I was like, okay, my job is to cruiserweight. This is all I'm gonna be for the rest of my life. I'm gonna be the cruiserweight kid. And now I'm a heavyweight, and it's kind of weird, but like I'm really looking forward to the transition properly because I haven't really sunk my teeth into it. I faced Zach. That's the main one so far. That's my main heavyweight clash. When like I want to get in there with Naito, I want to get in there again with Tana. I want to best Okada. I want to like face Evil. Or I want to expand.
Yeah. I mean, I guess with Zach, the difference is he is just a different brand of wrestler from a lot of the other guys you mentioned. Not in terms of ability. I mean, he's up there with the best, but I think in terms of style and his sort of base of wrestling. What if people aren't familiar with your work, which they should be, and they should, if anyone hasn't seen any of your matches, I urge them to. How would you describe your style? And are you sort of discovering yourself now as a heavyweight that perhaps you can't put your finger on it?
I mean, yeah, I am struggling now because like now I'm transitioning that I am changing the style up a little bit more because like I can only just put it this way: if like the last match you ever watched of Will Ospreay was that one against Ricochet from the Best of Super Juniors, and then all of a sudden you went into a coma, bam, and like, and then you woke up now. I mean, well, not now because there's a bloody worse one.
Yeah.
But like, if you woke up now, like I'm a completely different guy. I've put on a lot of mass. I don't really do that much flippy stuff anymore. So the only thing that I could actually generally put it down to is like, if you want me to name what I do, start with just reckless. And it's just like, it's not about just like harming my body or doing like I'm generally one of the most like vicious guys that I know. I'm hard hitting. I'm one of these guys now that took a traditional British style, mixed it with a little bit of lucha libre, and now I've just found out that I'm a little bit of a strong style boy. And it's only become like the more muscle I've put on, I'm like, oh god, I'm a lot stronger than I used to be. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's. I mean, you say that the coma thing, but I think a lot of people do just watch WWE's product, and I think I was one of those people. I was quite. I'll show my age here, but I was quite young when your match with Ricochet sort of went mental. And I think it was the first sort of exposure I got to a different style of wrestling. I think it was a similar thing for a lot of people. How was that match with him? And did you know going into it that it would divide opinion as much as it did?
No, not really. Just because we've done it so many times. I've done it at Rev Pro twice. We've done it at Evolve. And it was just one of those things where we're just like, okay, you do your stuff, I'll do my stuff, and like we'll see each other out there. But like, I just underestimated that. So this is my first Kurikan main event as well. Kurikan Hall is historic, is the only word I can say. And it's just, it feels different. Main events there feel very different. And I can't explain to you why they are different. But it has this certain build and this moment of just being like this is an expectation and this is going to be an exhibition. And then there's these two foreigners. So like neither of us are from Japan. But like, and I'm the new kid on the block, and this is the guy that's like everyone knows Ricochet, and they've heard like a rumbling of me. But it was the moment we both hit that pose, and like I've never heard anything like it. It's just this rumbling, and you're just like eyes locked on Ricochet, and he was like, "We've got him," and I was like, "Oh, I'm scared." Like,
especially with the Japanese crowd, who are traditionally more quiet.
But not just traditionally more quiet, but probably haven't seen that style since the Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's just like, I know wrestling has this thing to evolve. But like, I don't think they've had like those like two clashes of high flyers in ages. Like, because that's the thing. It's like people compared me to Ibushi, and they would compare me to Ricochet. But it's just like Ricochet has his own style, I have mine, but we're very, very similar in everything that we've ever done. Like,
I mean, as you say, I think if people saw sort of you now, they probably wouldn't say you're that similar to Ricochet. But
we've definitely gone from that point. We've gone like that. I mean, we still remain friends, and we're like I'm still messaging him to stay. In fact, I had a chat with him yesterday. Miss him greatly, and I hope he's doing it over there. But like, it's just we're two different dudes now. We're not the same.
And sort of again, the time I sort of got a lot of very familiar with you was with your Swords of Essex with Paul Robinson. I mean, it was, I don't know if you know, but I saw you guys together at the No Fan Show, and it was not. It just seemed like two friends who hadn't seen each other in a while that were
Paul,
just chatting
Paul
up.
and me, we've gone so far back. Like it was like me and Paul once again. We used to wrestle in the backyard. In fact, Paul was the first guy I got in contact with because I was just like, do you want to do a show in front of no one? And we was just like, it's so weird that we've done these historic venues. Like Paul's done Wembley Arena, I've done the Tokyo Dome, and now we're just back to where we started, backyarding in a weird way. But like Paul took me under his wing from a very, very young age, like especially when I first came into the pro scene, like in getting the grips of like shaking people's hand and introducing yourself. And when we was in backyard, we just go like, all right, mate, and that was it. And like I still to this day think that's fine, but I just now it's just kind of a custom. Hey, shaking my hand or do this thing or whatever. But this now it's just weird. But like me and Paul, I've kind of grown up in front of Paul, and he's been there to see me as an idiot, and he's been there to see me in my proudest moments. And like Paul for me is one of these guys where no matter what I do, he will always like be one of my best friends, and like we'll always have that connection.
So is he to you what you are to Callum, in a way, or is there a different?
No, like because the thing is Paul never. Actually, no, maybe, just because like Paul never taught me how to do it or anything along those lines. I just knew how to do them. I'm a freak. Like I analyzed WCW cruiserweight matches, and I would watch Billy Kidman like stare down to be like, okay, his feet go there, his hands go there, and like I'm a little bit like just like I analyze every single little bit of like how they move in slow motion. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to trampoline, I'm going to give it a go. And I could probably see that in Callum as well, but like where like Callum came in, I was kind of just like when he came to London School of Lucha Libre. Actually, he's even before that when he came to my seminar at Knuckle Locks, and he faced this tiny kid, and they did a spot, and they were going to do like a pop up into a Rana, and like I remember they popped up, and for whatever reason, this kid slipped. So like he was about to like go donk on his head, or they were going to do this thing where like like most trainers they'll go like that and they'll just go through with it anyway. And Callum had the mindset of like he went slip, boom. And like he held him there, first of all, and this kid like looked up as if to be like, "What are you doing?" And Callum picks him up. This 15-year-old kid just drags up this child and goes, "Do the Rana now," and like still does. And I'm just like, it takes like years to like be able to be like, okay, that messed up, but we're gonna do this instead. I'm gonna get you through it somehow. Instead of just being like, "Oh, I fucked up. We're gonna still go for it." But like where I come in now is I kind of say to Callum, "Hey." Because the one thing that Callum's got now, he's got this awful issue where he tries to do too many of my moves, which I used to do when I was his age and I wrestled Ricochet. I would do too many of Ricochet's moves. And it took Ricochet and Jimmy Havoc, to be fair, to say, hey, stop doing my moves, get your own identity. And which is what I'm trying to do with Callum now. To be like, hey, stop doing this. This is too much like me. Like, don't walk like this. It's too much like me. Do this instead. And I will like try and guide him and just be like, hey, do this instead. Because in training wise, that belongs to Greg Burridge and Gary Vanderhorn. But where it comes from a mindset of like, okay, I see something in him and I know how to sand down this diamond. Yeah, it's just one of those things where just I like to guide, I like to point him in the right direction because I think where he's young as well, I think a lot of people will try and take advantage and just be like, no, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And I listened to no one, which may be a detriment to me.
I mean, you seem like you're doing all right now, so.
Now, but it was a very slow start. But just like, I'm always a guy, like, when I first got in, I don't get into any trouble. I say my hellos, I do my match, I go on. And it's kind of the same thing I say to him. I'm just like, have your circle of friends. Costa, Malik, Aaliyah, have your circle of friends. That's what I did. But just do things your way, show up, shake hands, like set the ring up, do a sick match, get them to remember you by something, get advice from the people that you respect or the people that you want to be like. Because, like, although, like, I respect so many people that have graced the ring before me, there's sometimes I don't need advice from people that I don't want to be anything like. Like, I can learn from something from that, and I will take that on board, but, like, I want to be like Okada. So he's going to be the first guy I go to and be like, hey, what do I need to do better? And he'll say, do this, do this, do this. And that's the thing. It's just like, I know he wants to be the junior Will. So I'm going to be like, all right, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this. And like...
Is that crazy for you that you're still sort of, I don't want to say, you're still in the middle of your career, but you've got people like Callum who's saying, I want to be like Will Ospreay. Is that a crazy thing for you?
It is, yeah, just because like that's me going up to like AJ Styles when I first met him and like crying, like generally like tears down my face because like AJ was my hero. Like I know people were like, I wanted to be The Rock and I wanted to be Stone Cold, and yeah, they're the coolest guys, but I wanted to be AJ so bad. And like, and that's the thing, it's just like when AJ left to go to WWE, I just pulled him one side and was just like, hey man, like if it wasn't for you, I generally wasn't be wrestling. Like I watched that triple threat with Samoa Joe and Daniels.
Yeah.
And I'm here and I'm about to go to New Japan. And he was just like, good. Now kill it for me so I can meet you again one day. And it's just like, oh, AJ's the coolest. And like it's humbling when Callum is just like he went true story, so he went round my mum's house a little while ago, like maybe a year ago. And apparently, like, he's helping my mum move some boxes and stuff like that. And my old Neon Britannico or Dark Britannico mask was in there. Apparently freaked out and was just like, oh, shit, this is the Dark Britannico mask or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, please don't make me feel old.
Yeah.
So,
I mean...
It's cool, but
yeah.
I want more than that.
I mean, we talk about feeling old. I've never interviewed someone that is younger than me. So when I spoke to him yesterday, it was a bit like... I normally say to people, oh, how are you, sir, when I start an interview. But it was like, do I say it to him? He's younger than me. But no, he is a great guy. And I think from what he said that I didn't appreciate, he's learned a lot from you and I think Paul as well, outside of the ring, as much as inside. Is that something that you've tried to teach as much, if not more so, the way to conduct yourself, the way to deal with promoters and bookers, the way to be in a locker room?
Well, dude, like, you're talking to the guy that's messed up more times than he really should. And, like, that's the thing, we're laughing about it because, like, now I look back on it and I'm just like, oh, I'm an idiot. Like, I cringe at certain things that I used to do. And, like, it sounds stupid, but, like, it's one of these things where I just, like, I finally sat down and realized the position that I am in. When I first got signed with New Japan, I was throwing money everywhere. Like, I was, like, buying this and buying that and, like, I wasn't being irresponsible, but I was just being an idiot. Like, I wasn't analyzing situations. I wasn't reading into what, like, people would read my words. And, like, my social media was terrible. And it was just one of those things where I finally sat down maybe last year, maybe, like, 2018, 19, like, coming into 2019. And no, you know what? I tell you what, it was about 2019 beginning. And I was just like, you know what? Like, no one cares about my opinion on whatever stuff is. All I want to do is I want to show to people that I'm generally like, my heart is in the right place now. I'm like, you ask me about something, I'll give you honesty about it, but I'm just like, no one cares. No one needs to know what I think about certain things. All you just got to do is smile and be a good boy. And that's the thing. That's what I say to them all the time. Like, no one cares about your opinion. All right? Smile and be a good boy and help everyone else. And that is the main thing now, just because you're talking, you are literally talking to the king of mess up. I've messed up more times. I should be blacklisted, to be fair, in wrestling. Like, do you know what I mean? But, like, at the end of it, I think I've won over enough people backstage to be like, if you really do know me, the one thing that everyone will say about Will, it'll probably be on my gravestone. Guy's got a big heart, but he's an idiot.
And do you think, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but your in-ring ability has not overshot. I mean, I don't know specifically the sort of idiot things you were saying, but do you think people sort of gone, listen, he might have been a bit of an idiot, but the guy's an amazing wrestler?
Probably. You're probably right, to be fair. Just like, but like, I don't want that to be my thing. Like, I mean, you ask me anything, dude. Like, I'm dyslexic. I'm like, I've got some type of ADHD. Like, I'm a nightmare. I shouldn't be in wrestling. But like at the end of it, like my heart and my passion is there, and I want people to know that. I do charity work. I do a lot of things, like, but I don't want people to just be like, I'm not trying to tell people I'm a nice guy. I'm just going to do it just to be like, because that's what you should do. You should treat people how you want to be treated in return. And that's the thing. Like, do I like some people in wrestling? No, I don't. But like, why should I let everyone else know that? I should just be happy with the position that I'm in and try and get people to where I was once upon a time. And that's the thing. Like, I want these guys, like I want Carl Fletcher to come to New Japan. I want like Callum to come to New Japan. I want people to like succeed in the areas that I've mastered. And like once again, I am the king of messing up. So I've already done it. So now I'm going to make sure that they don't do it.
But do you think almost they should do it?
No.
As a learning experience? Like I presume you've learned a lot from the stuff.
No, because people are very unforgiving.
Okay.
You could say sorry 1,000 times and you can apologize for every stupid thing that you've ever done, but there'll always be someone to remind you of the things that you have done. It's down to you now as a person if that's going to let that get to you. So now you can either be like, okay, that's it, I'm done now, or you can be like, right, I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to come back stronger. So that's the thing. It's just I don't want people to mess up anymore because now, like, I think there's not a place for it. There isn't a place for messing up. There should be no excuses. So I think that's the main thing. Like we need to just be careful of what we say and just be mindful of the people around us.
So is that sort of the side of teaching? Which do you prefer more? The in-ring side, getting in the ring with, for example, Callum or someone else and saying, do this, do that? Or the outside the ring saying, listen, don't act like this. Let's work on that as you sort
in ring because once again, like I could see things like, for example, like I believe there's a God. Right, I believe that there is a God. I believe there's a heaven. I believe there's a hell. You probably, on the other hand, don't.
No, I do.
No, you do as well. Oh, right. Well, there we go. So we agree on something. But on certain things,
to help your point, I'll say I don't.
Okay, yeah, but like you probably don't. So it's just like we could argue about this all day, but we're not going to get anywhere. So like at the end of it, like we can have that agreement and just like I don't think you should say that. Well, I would think I can say that, and we can get into that. But when it comes to in ring, is there something about it where I can just be like, hey, take 2 steps back before you go there? And like I get in the ring with these guys as they're training, and it's like I don't sit on the outside or sit in a chair and go like that was shit or like whatever. I get in the ring and I'm like, hey, do it like this. And sometimes at points it'll be like, oh, they're trying to do a roll and they're not getting it right. So I'm like, all right, come here, and I stand them on my feet. So I'm just like, this is stupid what I'm about to do. But I'm like, then I grab your arm here, and this arm goes up. Look how the left foot goes back. So now his left foot is following me. And I do a roll, and I get all their bloody body weight on top of me. But at the end of it, I'm just like, and that's how you're meant to do it. And then the next time, they get it. And it's just like, I know how to break down wrestling because now I've been in it for 8 years, which is ridiculous. And then backyard is like, probably 15. But like, it's just now I can help people. I'm very good at teaching people. I'm very patient with people. I'm very I'm very friendly, and I want people to do well, and like I can be brutally honest with people as well, and do it in such a nice way that you won't think that I'm cutting you down. But like it's just the way of just saying like, hey, I don't think you should do this because X, Y, and Z. I always give a reason why you shouldn't do something or why you should do something.
So, what for you is more rewarding? Having a killer match in the main event or seeing someone like Callum have a killer match with David Starr? Which for you do you sort of think afterwards, yeah, that's made me proud?
All right, so it's little things. So, like, for example, my Shingo match, I can't be any more proud, or my Hiromu match, I can't be any more proud of that just because the stories were perfect. Like, the S that I was going through at the time of the Shingo match, where my mind was just all over the place and my stress levels were depression and everything. And just to, like, shut it all out and go 33 minutes with, like, one of the best, the guy I actually grew up watching as well. Like, and going out there and killing it with him, or like Hiromu coming back from a 18-month hiatus from a broken neck. And maybe I'm the worst guy you could put him in the ring with for the first singles match because I just generally brain people. But like the same pride that I had with that, and this is just an example, just because I haven't got many. the same pride I have with those two matches of going out there bell to bell and knocking it out of the park. I once helped put together a match in Frontline, and it was the OJMO and Rob Sharp. And I helped put that match together, and I helped with the drama, and I helped with everything in between just to make this match like special. And OJMO put loads of promo time into it, and he really went out of his way to put the effort in. And this is actually one of the main reasons why I really like OJMO as well. And I just sat there with these guys backstage for ages, and I was just making them do the same thing over and over again. Probably to the point where they were like, oh, we're getting sick of this. But then when they went out there in front of that frontline audience, and like they weren't in the main event as well. So like David Starr was on the show, Mark Haskins was on the show, Sharp Samuels, all these names. I think Ridgeway was on the show, all these names. And I put those guys in the main event for the openweight title. And they just knocked it completely out of the park to the point where I sat there and I just went, like, just seeing everyone's faces as well. And like people were just like zooming in on everything. And I just sat there and I was like, this is the greatest feeling in the world. Mm-hmm. When like you put your heart and soul into it. And sometimes it's one of those things where you're just like, I knew I was right. But other times it is just going like, you just saw two guys with unbelievable amounts of talent. And like, that just needed something to just reassure them that they are on the right effing path. And it was just, they just completely like, bam, home run. Like, it was so cool. It was really cool.
So I think a lot of people, because they might not appreciate you've got that side to you and you do the stuff like that. But if I had to say to you now, you have the option of Wrestle Kingdom in 2-3 years' time. Do you main event with Callum or do you tag with Callum in the main event?
Main event, just because, because no matter what, like at the end of it, it'll be fun no matter what we do. Like if it's a tag team, like, oh, whatever, cool. But if it's a main event, there is a story behind it. There's a story behind a story behind it. Like there's so many little details that we could do to symbolize stuff and to build of an epic match. Like, would I love to be there ringside of him and just be like, all right, I just watched him win the biggest match of his entire life? That would be incredible for me. It'd be a little bit emotional, I'm sure. But like to be in there with someone and like I look at him as a younger brother, I really do. And to be there and just be like, all right, here you go. I'm like, me and you, we're in this together, no matter if we're tagging or not. And we have to work together to put on a high caliber match. And there's nothing better than Big Match Billy. Like when I get a big singles match I can sink my teeth into, especially now knowing who I am. Like a while ago, like even when I was doing that match with Ricochet that we mentioned ages ago, I didn't know who I was. Like I was still finding those elements to me. Now I know who I am, and like I can help bring so much more out of the person that I wrestle against.
When you're saying finding who you are, did you mean in terms of in wrestling or just outside of wrestling as a person in general, or both?
A little bit of both, just because like now 2019 was such a weird year for me, just because like there was a lot of, I was comfortable, like I was very, very comfortable, and then all of a sudden the rug got pulled out from underneath me. And it was just one of those things where like all of my friends left, and I was kind of like, and the last thing that Kenny ever said to me was just like, we was in this big meeting and Kenny pulled me to one side with the Bucks and Cody. It was like, all right, you've got to take the reins now. This is all on you. And like if you even ask Kenny, like he'll probably tell you as well. And it was that moment where I was just like, okay, like the stress hasn't set in yet. But it was when it was just like singles match after singles match after singles match. And then you start doubting yourself because a lot of people are just like throwing shade at you. And you don't feel like you're meeting the mark. And although maybe I did look back on that tour as well from the Super Junior tour, and I felt like I nailed it all the time. But it was just one of those things where you just like, you don't want to let the company down. And then with the decision to leave this house behind in England, to then move my entire life to Japan to commit to New Japan 100% now. And then now, Rev Pro, like me, like, so now I'm doing that back and forth all over again. So it's just like, it was a lot of stress at the time. And it was at the time I felt very unloved in England. Like I felt like I kind of done everything that I needed to do. There wasn't really room for me anymore. Like I remember that last the last England stuff that I did before I moved was in Fight Club, and I just remember at one point just like sitting there, and I was so sad just because I was like, oh, I just don't feel wanted, and it's such a weird thing. It's just like to grown up in front of these guys, like not the Fight Club audience, but just the majority of the audience come to Fight Club, come to Progress and whatever. But I feel like I've grown up in front of these guys, and I felt very much like I need to get away because I'm starting to hate the person that I am because I don't feel loved here. So I just took myself away and I went to Japan. And then when it finally came back to England to do the Royal Quest show and hear my music drop, and like I was just like, oh God, I'm home. Like that, it's just incredible feelings like that.
When sort of, I mean, I don't know the goings on behind the scenes at New Japan, but were you and Zach sort of really pushing for an England show, or is that something that they've
done on their own? Like, like I think it was inevitable. Like if they've been doing shows in Australia and doing shows like in America, I was like, well, the UK's got to be next, surely. Yeah. Like they can't do like. It'd be funny if it was just like random country, just like I don't know, like Greece, like something like that.
Yeah.
But like, it has to be next. So it's just we're confident in. Like I can't really speak for Zach because like we don't talk to each other, different factions. But like I'm confident that Zach will say the same thing. We're confident that our fan base in England craves for New Japan, and to be honest. You can't argue with it because at the same time that New Japan were running Royal Quest, NXT UK were doing a show in what I hear is a bigger arena. And we outsold them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it's nothing to WWE. Like, once again, like, if you ask me as well, like, that match with Tyler and Walter was on that show was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Incredible. But it was just like one of those things where like people want New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we had 6,000 people rammed and a waiting list of more rammed in there to see New Japan Pro Wrestling. Something that they're like, they don't get to see this.
Yeah.
Don't get that treat. So now that they're seeing it, they're seeing the hometown boys, which is me and Zach. They're seeing Okada and Suzuki. They're seeing proper quality main events. Do I know what's in the future? Absolutely not. But I can probably, if I'm a gambling man, which I'm not, unfortunately, but if I am, I would probably bet like a good sum of money that will probably be back by the end of this year. If wrestling exists.
I was going to say, hopefully.
Yeah. I was going to bring you into my kitchen because I want more
wine. So something I think I will be slaughtered if I don't ask you, because when I asked on Twitter for people to send in questions, I think 9 out of 10 were Will Ospreay, New Japan, and AEW related.
Oh.
So you mentioned Kenny, Cody, and the Bucks. Are you regularly watching what they're doing and what? Obviously, I mean, because I presume anything sort of the matches B's got, but what does she say about her enjoyment with the company, and what do you think about what they're doing at the moment?
Well, first of all, like, I love those boys. I love every single one of them. Like, they're all my friends, most of all, and I owe a lot of my career to all of them. I thought at first it was a very shaky start, just because like, there were some things I was just like, it just feels like it's hard to watch on TV at first. But as it's kept going and going, I'm like turning again. Like, I remember like the kid in me is like turning into that WCW monster. I'm just like, this is just like, I enjoy every single minute of it. Like, that Revolution pay-per-view was honestly one of the best wrestling pay-per-views I ever saw, like from toe to toe. And it was just, and this is the one thing, I think Brian from the Wrestling Observer said this, and I kind of like to reiterate it. It's just like, if you pay attention to WWE, sometimes you are not rewarded. But if you pay attention to what the Elite Boys did from that tag match, every callback, like Adam doing the chicken wing, and Matt and Nick doing the golden trigger, Hangman doing the one wing angel. If you pay attention, you are rewarded. And I was like, yeah, you are. AEW rewards its fans. And I think that's the thing right now is I think a lot of people, we've been just in this mindset for so long that it's just like WWE. And that's after WCW went, we just went, oh, it's WWE now. This is all it. And we're just settled with it. And no matter what they do, like, it's weird. Like, WWE sometimes, like, sometimes it knocks it out of the park with, like, McIntyre winning the Rumble. Like, what a good idea. And then sometimes it's just like, oh, that Hell in a Cell match. And you're just like that. You're like, why? Why did you do this? Why did you do this to wrestling? Like, and then you just watch AEW and you're like, this is fantastic. It's brilliant. I love every single minute of it. I'm over the moon that B loves every single minute. Like, every time she comes back, she's just like, I had so much fun. Like, Kenny is awesome to work with. Cody is brilliant to work with. Matt and Nick are the loveliest human beings of all time. And that's the thing. It's just like, what I hear about the locker room back there is that they're all super motivated. They all come together and they all just want to push AEW. And that's the thing I love most about it, is that they're all wanting to work together to push it. And I think that's the coolest thing in the world.
Obviously, being in the position you're in with New Japan, I'm not going to ask you whether you'd leave and join AEW, but a lot has been said about a working relationship.
There's nothing. I wish I could tell you there is something, but there isn't.
I wasn't going to ask that. I was going to ask, if you were in a position of power, would that be something you're thinking, I'd love to get that sorted?
Yes and no. Yes, because I think it would be like, I think that's what fans want. And I do believe in giving them what fans want. No, because neither party needs each other. And I think the main reason is AEW is succeeding. Like, and if we're going to do this as like, let's do this in terms of wrestling and in terms of revenue. Right? I don't know what AEW makes because I have no idea. But I can only assume, because Tony Khan's behind it, that it's doing very, very financially well. Especially that they got 4 more years on TNT. They don't need to change anything. Keep doing what you're doing. New Japan has its highest revenue to date. Like, ever. And regardless of if they're still here or not, we are still putting on bangers every single big pay-per-view. So do AEW need New Japan? No. Do New Japan need AEW? No. But we can support from the sidelines. I support AEW. I hope they support New Japan. And that, like, if there was a chance for it to be to come true and for this to happen, I'm all for it. I'm strap up. I've got my hard at elm. I'm ready to put in a shift. But until then, it's just I'm supporting from the sidelines. They're all my friends, but I'm 100% a New Japan guy.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to the work and the talent that both guys have got. That I think it isn't because the companies need each other. I think it's just from the dream match perspective that people go, you know what, let's have a Bushi and Omega in an AEW ring, or let's have Ospreay and Omega in a New Japan ring. Let's have, I don't know, anything, Jericho and anyone. I think it's also with guys like Jericho and Moxley doing both, mainly AEW, but working with New Japan. I think it's just got people thinking there's a lot of dream matches that we'd like to see. And
I did see Tony Khan like do an interview a little while ago because someone sent it to me and I thought it was just really funny. It was just like, there was a question about the AEW guys going New Japan. And he was just like, well, yeah, I wouldn't mind if they sent some guys our way. I was just like, yeah, to be fair, we should like at least repay a favor. So like, I think all it just really needs is for one party to just pick up the phone. I think it's just a phone call away. So if Tony did want me to show up one day, as long as New Japan are happy with it, I'd happily do it. But,
well, if Tony phoned you up, New Japan were happy with it. Who's someone in AEW that you'd like to face if you had to pick one guy?
Puck.
Okay.
Just because we didn't get a defined finish. There's a 30-minute time limit draw at RevPro. I would really like to do that, but then there's a bigger part of it. Now I've said it. I'd really like Jericho. Like, just because I grew up watching Jericho.
Yeah, it's Chris Jericho.
It's Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
I would love to do Chris Jericho. So, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I'll lean towards Jericho just because it's never happened before. So, yeah, sorry, Buck, but...
yeah, I think...
yeah,
And speaking of dream matches, there was something you teased on Twitter with Punk. I would be once again slaughtered by the fans and my bosses if I didn't bring it up. What would that interest you? If I mean, chances are I don't feel wrong in saying highly unlikely, but would that interest you, a match with him?
Of course it would, but only in a New Japan ring. Like
Okay.
the thing is that like, because once again, like I have this thing where it's like, I don't think this is going to happen, but like, here's how I view the situation. I'm sorry if I drag this out.
It's all right.
He goes, I would listen to your idea if it was John Cena, if it was Rey Mysterio, if it was Daniel Bryan, or Will Ospreay. And do you know what I mean? It's just like, they're like, no matter what you think of my talent or my ability, superstardom-wise, I'm a goldfish. And Cena, Bryan, and Mysterio are great white effing sharks. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, why me? And like, it just makes me like, I get this itch and I just start going like, is he wanting to come back? Like, I don't know. So then I start just messaging around and I'm just like, is he pulling a Punk card on me? Am I just being like F with? And it, like, people are like, I don't know, dude. Like, maybe. So then I just sat there for a second and I went, you know what? I'm just going to ignore it. I'm not going to say anything. And then he tagged me on something on Instagram. I'd never talked to him in my entire life. We've never said one word to each other. And like, now I'm just like, it's me again? And it's just kind of like one of those things. Oh, no, there's a tweet between us. But like, I'm just like, is this going to happen? And now I'm just like, I'm sitting there and I'm fidgeting. And I fidget and I go like, I brought Amazing Red out of retirement.
Yeah.
Can I bring Punk back? Like, I just sit there and I just think, you know what? I think I'm going to try for it. So I'm just going to, I'm going to put it out there to the world. And it's the one thing I'll always be a Punk fan. The moment he sat cross-legged on that stage,
yeah,
and he said, the moment he leaves, the wheel's going to keep turning. He's a spoke on the wheel. The problem is the wheel keeps turning, right? No matter what. Anyone can leave. Roman can leave. Cena can leave. The wheel just keeps turning. But there are other wheels. There are other cars, mate. There are other cars that are turning. And we have a huge chance to, if you are generally that like interested, to turn New Japan into something even bigger. Like Jericho was huge when he came to face Kenny in the Tokyo Dome.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that could probably get bigger, if we got Punk.
Yeah.
And I think it can happen. I don't want to put I don't want to say it's in the pipeline. I don't want to say like we've had words. I don't want to say there's been phone calls between the offices, because there hasn't been. But there is a want from him to listen, at least. And that is the only bit of hope that I need to try and make this happen. And I will bend over effing backwards and fold myself in half to try and bring back CM Punk.
I think, as you said, it was people had seen Jericho wrestle 6 months before he faced Omega, 6 weeks before. They haven't seen Punk wrestle in 6 years. So I think, as you say, I mean, I know my brother watches WWE and that's about it. If he heard Punk was coming back to wrestling to face Will Ospreay, even in a New Japan ring, he'd probably go, you know what? I'll watch, even if it's that show. And then when he watches that show and he sees Okada and he sees Suzuki and he sees Zack Sabre Jr., he goes, wow, this is something else. And I think it just brings a whole new audience over. And I think you could open a lot of people's eyes if you did explore that. But obviously, as you say, there's a want from his side, but I'll leave that in your...
That's it. It's just a want. It's a want. But like, if he really wants it, he's the only person that can make it happen. I'm calling his bluff here. I'm calling his bluff to say, hey, just listen to my idea. Just listen to what we've got in mind. Because if you're up for listening, like, and I get it right now, he's filming a movie or something like that, I think.
I mean,
the movie,
I
right?
don't know. I don't know what's happening with anything at the moment. I don't know. Probably it stopped, but
But it's
production.
1 day.
Yeah.
It's all right, maybe 3 at max. It's 3 days. You've got well advanced warning. January 4th. Like, it can happen. Just pick up the phone. It can happen. Like, and you know what? It's not a part of me just being like, I want this to happen. It's the part of this being like, I want people to want something outside of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
It's just like the idea we was told for years. If Punk is ever going to come back, it's going to be WWE. What if it wasn't?
Yeah.
It can happen.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, when people book Punk return, they're like, let him face Bryan, let him face someone from NXT. But they haven't suggested you, not because they wouldn't want to see the match, just because they haven't even thought it's a possibility.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that you got a lot of people very excited when you guys had that little Twitter exchange and he said what he said. And I think it was, what was it like to be put in the same sentence as Mysterio, Cena, Bryan? Was it just like, whoa?
No, it was just one of those things. It was just like, why am I in this category? You don't want to give yourself any more hype than you already do, because sometimes it can come across as overconfident or whatever, but you want to believe in yourself at least.
Yeah.
And I do believe in myself now. And I believe that I can do these big matches. And I can, like, if someone hands me the ball, like, if you don't think I'm going to sprint, you will. Like, I'll grab this ball and I'll run further than any other person. And just the idea, and it just sits in my mind all the time of, like, what if? And it's probably going to keep me up all night now that brought it up. But just, it's humbling. It really is, because I'm a big Punk guy. I was a Punk guy when he was doing his stuff in Ring of Honor. I was a Punk guy when he showed up once in TNA. I was a Punk guy when he was in ECW. I was a Punk guy when he was a WWE champ and he walked out. And I thought it was the most interesting thing that WWE's done for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I've always been a Punk guy. I've got all of his merchandise when I was a kid. I wanted to be Punk. I wanted to be confident in what I do. And now, like, this is the ultimate confident boost that, like, he has put me in a category of 4, and the other 3 are just the biggest stars in the effing world. So now it's kind of like, I am confident in my abilities, and I am confident that if CM Punk and Will Ospreay did happen, that I can make CM Punk actually consider coming back to wrestling as a whole.
Wow, that's. I think you've got a lot of people very excited, and I think yourself very excited with that.
I'm just drinking wine, mate. I'm having a wine. I'm already got the effing bottle.
Well, I won't keep you for too much longer, but something I've got to ask, because you've been very generous with your time. But so when we speak about Punk, I think it goes hand in hand with Paul Heyman. He did that. I think it was the Inside the Rope show when he sort of called you up on stage.
Yes.
What was that like? Did you know it was going to happen?
No, I didn't know anything. Like,
he offered you a Evolve deal, didn't he?
Yes.
What was that? What was that like?
I mean, it's mind-blowing. It's Paul Heyman. It's the guy I've generally grown up watching. I love his mindset and his philosophy of what professional wrestling is. I was a big ECW guy as well. Like, I borrowed tapes from my friends to watch. My dad didn't like me watching it because it was too bloody. But, no, my mum did. My dad didn't mind, on the other hand. But it's Paul Heyman, isn't it? But, like, I was very set with WWE. Not WWE. Don't say that. Very set. I was very set with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and already signed a deal, so there's no way of getting me out of it anyway. And the moment he handed it over, it was very humbling. It was very emotional, just because I am just one of these guys who are just like, this is like, it's kind of a little bit now mind-blowing thinking about all the guys that I've actually had like confrontations with, like Paul Heyman, Vader, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. Just like, now it's not out that realm of possibility for me anymore. But like, now looking back on it, it's mind-blowing to know that like Paul Heyman's one of these guys that generally is a fan of my work and wants me to be a part of his vision of whatever pro wrestling is. Like, I know when there's a rumor going around apparently that like when me and Seth had that spat and he did apologise. It was Paul Heyman who was the guy saying, "Hey, you apologise now."
Oh, really?
Apparently so. Like, I have no, like, it was a rumor going around. I don't know if it's true or not, but like, I wouldn't put it past Paul. It's me and like, he's a real big like supporter of me, and once again, I'm just like the biggest fan of his. Just that day was just weird. We just met him backstage for a little while, was just chatting, and looked at B. B was with me. I was just like, "He was a lovely dude, isn't he? It's wonderful. I'm really looking forward to this." And like, he would compliment me, he'd compliment Marty, and then all of a sudden he would just stop the show. And then, like, when he stopped the show, it was kind of like one of his moments was like, "Oh, someone's in trouble here. Who is it?" And when he went Mr. Ospreay, like, I sat in my seat and I was like, "Oh, what have I done now?" Because that was the time the whole Vader thing was blowing up. Like, oh, I wonder if Paul Heyman's friends with Vader and he's going to call me out in front of everyone. And then, like, and then just like, I don't do well with confrontations. So, like, the Billy would probably, like, kick up and probably put his fist through one of the projecting screens or something like that. So if it was like that, but it was just like him just being super complimentary. I was just like, "Oh God, no, this is amazing. I'm gonna cry." Like,
yeah, I think it was obviously as a fan of British wrestling, it was like, whoa.
There's another one of those things where it just happened. It was one of those. Like, I don't know if NXT UK was a thing at that point, or even
don't think so.
Or the WWE Championship, UK Championship was a thing at that tournament. So it was just another one of those things where I was just like that. I think it was 2016. It was just, that was kind of like the start of my rise.
Yeah.
It kind of like dips. 2017 came up again, goes down again. 2018, 2019, 2020 is a little bit of a dip now because of this whole bullshit that's going on. Sorry to swore.
That's all right.
But this right now it's just like I'm not slowing down anytime soon, and although I'm not 100% healthy, I'm getting there now. I'm just healing up some old injuries. Like, all my rehab guys can't come and see me.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I'm hurt. But,
I mean, it's probably almost a blessing in disguise in a way that you've got a bit of force time because, I mean, I don't know you that well, but I presume you wouldn't be the sort of person that's like, you know what, I'm going to take 6 weeks off to heal my body if it's a choice. But because it's not a choice, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that you've got a bit.
It is, but it is one of those things where I'm itching to get back in the ring now. Like, I'm getting to the point, like, I was even saying to B, I'm not even joking, I was saying to her, I went, should we just film ourselves having a wrestling match in the living room? Just because I'm bored. Like, I want to feel some type of pain. Just like, I haven't had someone chop my chest in a while, so I know when someone chops my chest next, it's probably going to piss blood. I don't want that. Like, I need, like, it has to be a constant thing, so that way my chest gets like no feeling. So when I get chopped, I can be power up and just.
I mean, you've got the advantage of having a girlfriend that's a wrestler as well, so definitely get her to chop you, so you're in the. So you're up for it.
You don't like chopping. She's a forearm girl. Like, oh, she's so stupid.
Well, I won't. I'll let you leave. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. We will, wherever this goes out, we'll give people the opportunity and the links to your merch stores, so they can support you if they want to. Hopefully, we'll see you in the ring very soon. And yeah, thank you very much for taking the time.
No worries. I look forward to seeing how many news spreads I get because people are like, "Will said this and he's a bad guy." I'm like, "Oh, here we go again."
Thank you very much, mate.
God bless you, sir.
Cheers. Cheers. Bye.